Hey everyone, it's Robert Hall, and in today's video we're going to talk about the AD200, 300, and 400 Pro and who I think each light is most suitable for. Now let me start this video off by saying that all three of these lights are a fantastic product, a great value for their price, and all three occupy an extremely tight area of capability. There is only one stop of light between the AD200 or 200 Pro and the AD400 Pro. And the AD300 Pro is in between those two. And because it's so close, it is very infrequent that there is something the 400 Pro can do that the 200 Pro can't come extremely close to doing as well. Let's say, for instance, that we had the AD400 Pro outdoors in a softbox 4 feet away from a subject at full power. You might be thinking that, well, there's no way the 200 Pro could accomplish something similar because the 400 Pro is at its peak output. But with only one stop separating, all you would have to do is bring that softbox in 1 foot, and at 2.8 feet exactly, you would get the same exposure on the 200 Pro, and the 300 Pro would even be less of a difference than that. So just understand that they are extremely close in comparison. Now, if your biggest concern is about output in choosing these three lights, then I urge you to check out another video I made where I tested out multiple lights outdoors in sunlight in different modifiers in high-speed sync and not high-speed sync, and I found out the max distance that each could be used at to balance with bright outdoor conditions. You can watch that video here. You don't even have to watch the video, just look in the description for the information. And I've got all the max distances that they achieved in those various modifiers. And though the 300 Pro is not in that video, you can pretty much assume that it's going to be right in between the AD200 Pro's results and the AD400 Pro's results. That resource should help you understand if a light is going to meet your power needs. And above everything else that I say in this video, you should prioritize that information first. Everything else that I say in this video is going to be focused on usability and budget. Let's start off with a recommendation based on budget alone. I imagine a lot of people looking into off-camera flash beyond a speed light for the first time have a budget of somewhere between $400 and $700. If that's the case, my recommendations are simple. Around the $400 level, you're unfortunately priced out of the AD300 Pro and the AD400 Pro. So it's a simple solution. The AD200 would be the only one you can afford, and you'd have to save up if you even wanted to consider the other lights. Now, if you only have the money right now for one light and you're concerned about the AD200 not meeting your standard, I can pretty much assure you that even if down the road you have to buy a more powerful light, the AD200 is still going to be a really flexible lighting tool for you to use in other places in your images. Now, for anyone at the other end of the spectrum who has a budget of around $700, I still say forget about the 300 Pro and the 400 Pro. Two AD200s, non-Pro, the original AD200s, a single AD-B2, a single H200R, and a single AKR1 accessory kit. The reason for this is simple. At $700, you could not afford two AD300 Pros or two AD400 Pros, and owning two lights is always better than having only one, even if you're talking about lights of a lower output. It's very simple that a single light can't be in two places at once, other than the use of a reflector, which is extremely limiting. So there is a whole world of images that you can create with two lights that are simply impossible to create with one. Additionally, having that AD-B2 accessory to combine two AD200s into a single light source gives you access to that peak output that you're giving up by choosing 200s over the AD400 Pro. Having this is great when a single AD200 just doesn't cut it in output, and you'll really enjoy it when you're working outdoors in bright conditions. Finally, with the addition of the H200R and AKR1 kit that I recommended to go along with this purchase, you are off to the races with Fresnel heads, bare bulbs, and the unique small modifiers offered in the AKR1 kit, which gives you access to hair lights, kickers, bouncing, all sorts of applications that you can use this gear that otherwise really don't have the option to if you spent all your money on just an AD400 Pro. Now, proactively thinking about this recommendation for this budget level, I talked with Adorama and asked if they could put a kit together of just these products at a slight discount, so that's linked in the description below. Now, let's shift away from the money and say you've got a more flexible budget and you're really focused on finding the perfect light in terms of usability for what you do. Even with the Explorer 300 Pro or Godox AD300 Pro hitting the market recently, I still stand by something that I've said for a long time, and that is the AD200 or AD200 Pro is hands down the best lighting option for wedding photographers. It's easy to grab 2 or 3 of them and have an extremely versatile lightweight kit. And due to the access of 3 different head types, you can round this kit out with all sorts of speedy modifiers, such as any collapsible umbrella, any collapsible softbox, any mag mod equipment, or the AKR1 kit that I mentioned before. Look in any wedding dominated Facebook group or forum, the AD200 and AD200 Pro are far and away the most frequently used lighting tools for photographers using off-camera flash. Now, the AD300 Pro is only a little bit larger than the AD200 Pro, but its usability is completely different because it's only a bare bulb, and with that you lose access to hyper portable modifiers such as the mag mod systems and AKR1 modifiers that I mentioned before that are compatible with the AD200 Pro. It does, however, have access to the Godox mount, which is more recently being utilized by Godox, and there are only right now a few select compact modifiers for it. With all that and the slight bump in power that you get, about a half stop over the AD200 Pro, I consider the AD300 Pro to be perfect for anybody who is heavily utilizing one light in very mobile outdoor photography shoots. So your senior photographers, your model photographers, outdoor portrait photographers who are primarily utilizing one light and also working without an assistant, that's who I think the AD300 Pro is for. I make this distinction because the AD-S65 and AD-S85 proprietary modifiers are just so well optimized for a light this size, and they lend themselves to those type of outdoor portrait shoots. The way I summed it up in my AD300 Pro review was that I think the AD300 Pro is going to benefit those who can deal with the restrictions of this the most. So if you're looking at the available modifiers for the Godox mount and thinking, I need stuff beyond that, well, then I think you need to start considering stepping up to an AD400 Pro, because likely you're going to be using larger modifiers in more demanding conditions. Now don't forget, you can use the S2 bracket or the adapter on this to pair this with Bowens mount adapters, but I just think that takes away from the portability that this is so aimed at. This leaves finally the AD400 Pro. Yet another small bump in power, one stop over the 200 Pro, half stop over the 300 Pro. But after handling these is a dramatic increase in size. Now that slight bump in power and retaining a really low recycle time, that'll be beneficial to anybody who is still working outdoors in bright conditions but has to use their light a little bit further away or with larger modifiers, and I'm talking to you family photographers. The added size of the AD400 Pro is just better suited to the Bowens mount than any of these other lights. Now because it's a beefier light though, it's going to require either more assistance or more weight to keep down. And when I think of doing outdoor family photography, I think about positioning a group for a little bit of time, having my light in a fixed place and kind of working with the group and multiple people to get that best image. So my light isn't moving around a ton, which is why I think the 400 Pro works so well right there. So that's my recommendation for where I think each light serves best, but I want to make a couple more little notes here. First, I want to talk about action freezing potential. When looking at all of the Godox lights that are available, you can essentially look at them and say the higher output is going to be better for freezing action because it's going to have shorter T1 flash durations. This is because nearly every Godox light at full power puts out between 1/200th of a second and 1/250th of a second T.1 flash duration, and then they start going down from there. So naturally, the higher peak output that the flash is, the faster its flash durations are going to be at each subsequent lower output. So if freezing action is important to your work, then choose the highest wattage that you can handle.